Welcome to On the Rec Yard, Women's Prison Podcast, where we are live on the rec yard every Wednesday night. Dun, dun, dun.
Without a hitch. That was perfectly done.
Hey, y'all, how is everybody? We are on the rec yard, and I think that might have been the first time that I got the intro right. And it only took, I think this is like 14 episodes, or it's a few episodes in, a few 14-ish, but we are.
You got it though. That's all that matters.
We're getting it now. We're on the rec yard. We are live here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. I'm Marcy Marie.
I'm Tunchi.
Tunchi, we are talking about the haters tonight.
They're gonna hate, baby. I love it because, man, there's nothing like a good hateful comment to inspire joy. So
yes, well, I'm excited because they've been coming kind of more frequently. I don't know if the heat is getting to people's heads. But it just seems like across all of my platforms, I've been getting hateful comments. But Tunchi, I don't want to just talk about comments on social media. I definitely want to talk about just kind of the general hate that we get as people with criminal backgrounds that are now turning their life around, doing positive things for our communities. And in our spaces, we're successful where we're at. And we've caught hate for that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They it's almost like they want us to be the statistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely want to bring that up. I say we jump right in.
Do it. Let's do it.
I want to start with the very last comment I got, actually, and it was on my, now watch if I don't, yeah, it's on my TikTok account. I know y'all can't see it very well because the glare from the ring light. And it's a video where I did have an opportunity to, I got to go on a yacht, y'all. Something never in my life, even with the amount of money I was stealing, I would never have been able to afford that. Never during my prison time or even my time before prison did I dream that I would be invited to do that. It just happened to be someone that is pro-prison reform and wanted to do something nice for a group of people that actively worked in the prison reform field. You know, it was just as simple as that. And I'm just in the video, I should play it, but I'm tearing up in the video because I'm so overwhelmed. What you guys may not know about me is that I was born to be a mermaid, and I was born to be on the water and in the water. I love it. I'm in the ocean, on the ocean, all of these things. And it just felt surreal for me to be at the Pacific coast, getting on this huge yacht where I'm going to get to swim in the ocean and all of these things. And I'm feeling overwhelmed with gratitude. So this is the video. And the comment is, I'm so sick of seeing your face. It's from Spark Me Up 420, which I have to say, usually the 420 community is a little bit more laid back than So yeah, this is just the kind of random, random things that we get. Tunchi, and I jumped right in because I was so excited that I literally got this comment while we were setting up, right? But I definitely want to welcome everybody to the show. We had some people waiting here early. Stephen, I see you. Thank you for showing up early. We appreciate you. Lisa was here early. It's just so good. Shaquille Oatmeal's here. We're so glad to see you, Shaquille. Yeah, we just have a lot of people already on, and I appreciate y'all. Ray, Rayanne's on, and she says, love to hate the haters. I like to just kill them all with kindness.
For sure. Right. And I got to tell you, Marcy is the queen of handling haters with such a dose of kindness, but truth. It's like you can't get mad at it. Right. Like, I know some people that, especially maybe some other TikTokers, who, I mean, they just get ramped up and they do a whole series of videos just angry. And it's like Marcy just shuts it down just with a nice smile and hard truth. So I certainly learn a lot from you in handling stuff, because my first instinct is, well, how about you go yourself? How about that? And it's like, no, sometimes it's better to just give them that kindness and let everybody, see that you're the better person, for sure.
The thing is, sometimes those comments, especially coming from people that grew up in middle or upper class white America, and that's when we're talking about prison reform, when we're talking about inhumane conditions inside of prisons, they have been taught and branded to believe a certain way. They don't know anybody that has been targeted by the police, because in their neighborhood that never happened. And so it's kind of interesting to be able to use those comments sometimes and kind of turn it into a little bit of a learning experience, right? Because then that's like a teaching moment. And you can not only just maybe or maybe not, the commenter may not accept it, or they might, who knows. And I've had it happen both ways, right? But other people watching the video that had similar beliefs, I've had lots come on to me. I've had lots come on to me. Well, that happens too, frankly. But I've had lots come back and comment and say, I've never looked at it that way, and I didn't even know prisons were like this until I started watching your videos. And that's what's so great about, like, Tunchi and I, different personalities, people coming from different backgrounds, sharing their stories that are so different online. We're all each going to connect with a different type of person. So there are people out there that are only going to hear the truth about the prison system from somebody like me. And there are people that are only going to hear from somebody like Tunch, or somebody like Comrade Sinkyu, or, we have so many great content creators that are throwing that prison information out there, and they're doing it in an entertaining and educational way, and they're advocating.
Yeah, and you're right. It's certain people listen to certain folks in a different way, right? Depending on your background and your history, you may be able to hear something from one person that you can't from another. I will tell you, I did a interview which ended up on Fox News, by the way. I had no idea, Marcy. I thought it was going to be the local Dallas Fox News. And my stepmom's sister took a picture and said, "Is this your daughter?" It was on national Fox News, which was really shocking. And anyway, it was about the ankle monitors. And recently they passed this bill that would make it a felony to tamper with or cut it off. And we all know the problems in Texas with electronic monitoring. It's the software, it's the equipment. And there's no way to fully prove that it was the equipment versus somebody tampering. And that's the issue. And so, I had told that to the reporter, and we had a good discussion. And then, like, the next day I get an email, and I have the email attached to mine that I can see the emails that come into my workplace, right? The info email. And it said, "Tell Jennifer Toon to say that to the victims' faces, and she can go back to California where she belongs." And I'm like, "Sir, this had nothing to do with victims. It had to do about the technology of the equipment, which affects them if it doesn't work right." And I was born in Texas. I have no desire to move to California. It's a nice state I've visited, but I had to laugh because that was my first hate email. Now I've too have gotten the comments, and but for someone to take the time to write the email was just especially bizarre to me. Really.
Right. Somebody had to find your email. They had to go to their emails, hit compose. I mean, it was a whole, it wasn't like they were seeing something and like on my videos and they just hit comment and it's right there. I mean, they had put some forethought into this. And when you put an email, when people write emails, they're usually, or at least I do, they've probably read back over it.
Right.
They just wanted to make sure that the hate shined through properly.
God bless.
So
Well,
yeah, that's insane.
well,
And
and for folks that don't understand outside of Texas, that California and accusing somebody from being from California is an insult to more conservative right wing Texans. It's just a deep, not, I don't want to say hatred, but it's just this resistance to the way of life of California. And a lot of people come from California to Texas because there are good things about Texas, right? But yeah, so I knew that may sound like a tame insult to other people, but I knew that was Texas loaded insult right there.
that was a Texas insult. And what's funny about that particular insult and how it pertains to the criminal unjust system in our state compared to California is the conditions in California prisons are comparable to Texas prisons. Their county jails even worse than our county jails, and their incarcerated population in comparison with their regular population, it's much higher. They lock more people up than even Texas. So even with the recent, like they recently made some lighter sentencing laws when it comes to looting. And so that's kind of a hot topic in California right now. But literally everything else, they have very harsh sentencing laws, even compared to Texas. So honestly, if we had been in California when our stuff went down, we might have fared better. I mean, we might have fared worse. It's fortunate we were here, honestly. Yeah. So goodness.
So give us another comment that we have to take apart.
Well, this is like a simple one, right? This is a video of me dressed like a correctional officer, okay. And it's like, welcome to prison. And the officer's just giving the items that someone gets when they arrive at a women's prison. It's no opinion. It's literally, this is your cell. Here's your towel roll. Here's your soap. Here's your deodorant. Like that's the video. It's just showing people what people incarcerated in Texas get. And the comment is definitely all caps institutionalized. You must be institutionalized. You were in there and you are out here. Don't do the all caps crime. There will always be all caps consequences to the decision that all caps you chose. You chose it and nobody else. So do you see how that video has triggered someone in such a way that they're not even responding to the context of the video?
Right. It's just about like, this is what it looks like to have the officer hand you your bedroll and your laundry, and this is what it feels like. That's it.
And the reason, frankly, that I feel that those kind of videos trigger people, or sometimes we get that reaction from just an informational video, because there are plenty of videos that to be quite frank, Tunchi, especially when I first got out, that I didn't even realize were that harsh of a condition until the comments are like, wait, what? What happened while you were in prison? Because I was so accustomed to it and so used to it. So some of the comments I would be getting were, what? And then some were, quit whining. And I was like, I'm not whining. I was literally just telling you. Right. And to me, in my self-preservation self, that I was still in the mode that I was laughing at a lot of the trauma that I endured while I was inside. So I learned a lot about how much I had literally adapted to the system through
Mhm.
these comments on my social media. Because yeah, so why do I feel like people are triggered? Because I think that they honestly don't want to think about how bad the conditions are for actual humans in this country, in the land of the free. And it's easier for them not to know. And it's easier for them just to say, put all the blame on the person that was accused and convicted of a crime instead
Right. Yeah.
of on the community, which
Well,
is
because
what
it reminds me of, like, my dad saying, "You stop your crying, or I'll give you something to cry about." And it's like, well, that's because he would be horrified if I said this right now. It's because the things that he suffered when he was younger weren't validated, right? And so it's this sense, like you're saying, of it's my reaction to be harsh about this, because otherwise I have to confront my own vulnerability and my vulnerability of the community. So, I think you're right, because deep down inside, I don't believe, as radical and as so separated as we've become, I still believe everybody has a core of humanity. Even I did when I was at my darkest. So it's there's something driving that is, and I think maybe that's what's so great about the way that you handle stuff like this, is because I think you never lose sight of that, even no matter how angry or hurt it makes you. And if you can just kind of address it, maybe with some good humor, and but I do agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's just I wanted to I think that's definitely part of it, right? Is yeah, out of sight, out of mind, and us bringing that to the forefront of their thoughts. It doesn't feel good. So it's easier to have that reaction. Shaquille Oatmeal's talking about she watches a lot of criminal court cases on YouTube, and more times than not, the judge at the end will say, "Now stay out of trouble," as if they are destined to keep getting into trouble. It drives me crazy. And Shaquille, I have a real live hater that I can tell you a story along those lines. And that was an officer that was working as a CO and is now a sergeant on the Dr. Lane Murray unit. I drove my girlfriend to visit her friend and I dropped her off, and it was no problem until they learned that I was sitting out in the car waiting. And then all of a sudden it was a huge problem. And so anyway, she came back out and did what she could do. She put all her authority out, and I had to leave the premises, and it was like no big deal, to me, because it's whatever. I'll leave. It's whatever. It's not worth it to me. Anyways, when I come back and she's searching my car, she's trying to make small talk with me. First of all, this lady treated me horrifically while I was incarcerated.
Yeah.
Out of the way, ugly comments when I was just walking down Main Street, and to my girlfriend. So we're not cool. We're not okay.
We're not buddies, we're not friends, we're not homies, we're not any of that.
Absolutely not. So, but I wasn't being rude to
Right.
her. I was just acting like I was very engaged with my phone,
Mhm.
and I there I was, just kind of this, and she's searching my car so I can come back on the premises to pick up my girlfriend, and she says, "So, you staying out of trouble?" And man, that made my chest tighten when she said that. It infuriated me because, just like what Shaquille's saying, there's an expectancy that I wouldn't be, because I had been in trouble before. And that right there already got me. But I just kind of acted like I didn't hear her because she was on the other side of the car. And so I'm just still very involved. Like I'm literally acting like I'm having this conversation, texting and trying to figure something out. I'm even acting stressed about the fake phone conversation that I have
Mhm.
going on. And she comes around to my side, where I was standing, and then stops in front of me and says, "So, have you been staying out of trouble?" And I just said, well, have you, ma'am? And she said, well, of course, for my job. And I said, well, of course, for my freedom. Yes, I've been staying out of trouble. And if I hadn't been, what did she think I was going to say? No, girl, I've been into this. I mean, that question was not for an answer. That question it was meant to make me feel some kind of way.
Right. Right.
It
Well,
was
and that's what haters do, right? It's from this burning, I think some people, like we've said, it's this protective thing, because I can't look inward and I can't look at these things that are so hard to look at, right? And then others, it's just jealousy. It's the need to abuse their power, and certainly online, people can hide, right? They hide behind their comments. I remember the one video that I was going to respond real tactfully to it, and it was you doing Alicia Keys, and the comment was, once a thief, always a thief. And I was like, I'm going to respond to this. And I was like, how about you just off? It was all I could say, because
you were vicious in that response.
I was so mad.
In that video. And I'll actually maybe try to see if I can pull that up in just a minute. But in that video, it was literally, the comment was, once a thief, always a thief. And you guys would not, maybe you would be surprised. I get a lot. That comment comes a lot my way. Once a thief, always a thief, or you're just a thief. And, and sometimes I'll say, you meant I was, right? And I'll leave it at that. But I had seen another creator use that Alicia Keys song as a response to a hateful comment. I thought, oh, that's cute. So I just did a cute little lip sync to it. And gosh, the next day it says, you've been mentioned in a video. And I thought, what has Tunchi done? and you went all the way. You went into him. You did.
I did. It made me so angry, because it's like, what I admired about your videos was because they were fun, they were engaging, they weren't dreary or dreadful, and they were just, the fun stuff that we did together as a community, and then, the advocacy stuff. And you don't ever come across as angry, bitter, or remorseless. And for someone to say that, it was just so dismissive. It was just so dismissive of your whole life story and journey. It sent me from 0 to 100. I was like, no, not no, but hell no. No.
And I think that's a point that that's a good point that you're making right there, though, Tunch, because you had said they dismissive of the whole story. And I think oftentimes the people leaving these comments hear one sentence of the video. They don't go to your profile page and hear how you are, and they don't get to know you through your videos. It's just that one something that you said that triggered them, and then that's it. And so that's why it's kind of important that we don't take those to heart, which is easier said than done, for sure.
Oh yeah, because some of that stuff is. When I first started doing YouTube videos, this was my first little video, Marcy. If you haven't seen it on my page, it's me in a orange hoodie that I got at Goodwill, and I'm sitting in a very badly lit apartment. And I was just like, hello, BF Diane said that I should do this, and here I am. And, and I told people, I said, I'm not reading the comments. I'm not answering them. So please know that I'm not ignoring you, because I had just seen, especially on YouTube, my God, they are vicious. Yeah. My goodness. I mean, no hold bar. Girl, when we were doing the Melissa Lucio campaign to help stop her execution, you can imagine this stuff. And this actually, the comments there were from other women. It wasn't so much for men like we mainly see. It was for women about, Melissa's case. And I think one was, I don't care what Melissa has to say and what she's been through. Somebody needs to fight for that poor baby that died. And I'm like, well, did you know the child? Or does her mother and her family have a greater say in that baby's death? right? So it's just unbelievable the audacity that people have towards it just really is.
Yeah, it's bold
It's
also.
bold. Like, I'm tired of seeing your face.
Yeah, it's bold. It can get pretty harsh for sure. So the old classic, let's just start with the classic of anybody that has ever mentioned anything about prison is going to see this comment. I have seen it hundreds of times in the past 2 years while making content. And that is the old, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. No matter what the video is talking about, I can talk about sexual assault
Right.
inside the prison
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
And that is your response. You have literally taken all the blame away from the state for sexual assaults that happen within the prison system and put it on the incarcerated individual when you say that. It's such a ridiculous notion that because someone committed a crime and got convicted or just got convicted of a crime, frankly, that they deserve to then have crimes committed against them.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think we run up against that just in our fun social media stuff and then our advocacy stuff, right? It's the same response over and over, whether it's about the stifling, deadly, horrible heat that's happening in our Texas prisons right now with 4 deaths and counting, or whether it's, parole reform or, you know, reentry resources not being available. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how light it is. It doesn't matter how heavy it is. The answer from some people is always, if you don't want to do the time, don't do the crime. Okay, well, I'll go back to the 15-year-old that was in deep mental health crisis,
Yeah.
who was so deep in her symptoms that she was almost, well, I'm going to say delusional at some instances. And I'll tell her, hey, guess what? You know what? I don't think I can handle that heat in those prisons. I'm not going to act out right now. It's such an easy answer that that holds no accountability for anybody other than the person that has ended up in prison. And as we've talked about before, crime doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't happen solo by itself. Everybody in the community has a role when something happens.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. That's nobody has said not going to be addicted to controlled substances because I have a fear of what's going to happen in prison. That's not the way it works. The women that we were incarcerated with, and sometimes I feel like a broken record, but honestly, it just is such a hard truth. These women were not people that woke up and said, I'm fixing to go do this, and this sounds great. These are women that were victims of childhood trauma, victims of sexual assault and abuse, victims of mental abuse, victims of domestic violence, victims of mental illnesses, victims of controlled or substance abuse disorders. This is the kind of women that are in prisons. And I just think, gosh, it's not so easy. It's not always black and white. And let's just even think about the laws written literally against marginalized communities when we start getting there, redlining, and when we really make people uncomfortable when we start talking about those things, because they just simply don't want to believe that for every white man in prison there are 5 black men. They just don't want to believe that in this country, in the land of the free. That is very disproportionate to the population of white men and black men in the free world. It's not right. But when we start saying these things and start ruffling some feathers, that's when people get uncomfortable, and that's when the hate comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember there was a comment that you got on one of your videos, and you were laying out like I think it was the racial inequality and differences in the criminal legal system. And somebody left a comment and said, I liked you better when you didn't do all this advocacy stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? I was like,
Yes.
what the hell?
Yeah, they literally said, I liked you better.
Yeah, I don't hear about any of that, Marcy. Can you just show us how to make prison burritos? Like,
that's exactly right. And my platform, so it's for entertainment, and it's for education and advocacy, and that those three things are me, and it's my platform. So that's another, just a great point is, and I want to read Carrie's comment real quick. She says she's been sharing advocacy for AC to be included in emergency session. Guys, Texas has been in triple digit weather all week. Our incarcerated Texans, we've already had heat-related deaths, heat-related illnesses from staff and inmates. It's out of control. Anyway, she just says all of a sudden shit. So she advocates for that, for humanity, to take away dangerous conditions, quite literal dangerous conditions for staff and incarcerated Texans. And here she gets more ugliness now than she did when she got her degree in social work and people said she wanted to take their kids. Golly. Well, I hadn't even thought about the hate that social workers get. That had not ever even crossed my mind, Carrie, because that's real. That's true. I can't imagine. Jennifer, I tried my best to find the version of you coming back to me. Like you stitched me.
I did.
But I cannot, for the life of me, I can't find it. Oh, wait, there it is. Never mind. I'll show it in just a sec.
Okay. But there was another one and I can't find it, but I'm remembering you were laughing and it was a comment that some woman had said something about, I can't believe someone would hire you as a lesbian or something. And you were like, lady, do what?
Yes. She said, because I was talking about trying to get employment with a felony background. And she said, I would never hire a lesbian criminal like you. That was the comment. And I read it. I was working at Amazon at the time. And when I would go to my lunch break, which at that time was like at 10 at night, I would get in my car and I would always try to record a video from my car. And so the way I would do it is most of my videos are just answering people's comments, but that one was there. And it tickled me so much because she was serious.
She was serious.
It genuinely amuses me when people are dead serious in their hate.
And she wasn't just like, you are an ex-con. You are a lesbian ex-con. I'll be damned if I let you in this building.
She literally said, I would never hire a lesbian criminal like you. And my response, I had intended to try to gracefully respond, but I was so tickled. I was like, forget it. And I just recorded myself laughing at her because I didn't know how else to handle it. It's man. So, it happens. These kind of things happen. And I don't even know. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to try to get this video together. Jen Toon. And see
losing her shit as usual.
Yeah. Okay.
It's hard for me though, Oh, you're going to do it? Okay.
I'm going to play mine first, and then I'm going to pull yours. Okay. So the comment for people that are listening and aren't watching.
Did you find mine? Because I couldn't find it.
I found it. And it's titled Haters. Your video is titled Haters.
People keep talking, they can say what they like, but all I know is everything's gonna be alright.
You do so well lip singing. You stay right on point.
it's really me trying pouring my heart into it. It's going to take just a real quick second for me to pull yours up, but you went ham, and I want you
I
to
did.
see. That was my cute little response
It
to
was
the
very,
hateful comment.
yeah.
And
This was
here
great.
is here, you already know.
People keep talking, they can say what they like.
The face.
So, Jesus help me right now. Marcy is a very kind and sweet, gentle soul. However, I am not. And the nerve, the audacity for someone to say that, you can just fuck all the way off. It's real.
You said the F word, Tooch.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, yeah. And then I gave the peace sign, deuces, we're out. I was mad, man. It made me so mad. Hey, can I say too, though, damn, my hair looked good in that video. And I've never been able to get it look as good in that moment.
Well, that's why you were able to come with such force and aggression, is because you were confident in your killer hair.
Hey, but I want y'all to know that I'm not real good with the acting on the TikToks, right? Like the lip singing. I'm not good at that. Marcy has seen me do terrible, right? But we were at the Capitol and she was like, hey, we're going to do this TikTok, and it was a hardcore, like, yeah, like we're doing this thing. And she goes, Jennifer, now I don't want you to be goofy like it was in that last video where you were just smiling in the background. We got to look, we're serious here. Okay. And I said, okay, let me listen to the clip. And I was like, okay. She goes, now just bust through the door and look serious. Okay. And this is the line you say from the song. I was like, okay. And then we did it. And she goes, well, my God. Well, that was different. I said, well, I just tried to channel. I tried to channel my anger. And then somebody on one of my channels or on that TikTok was like, oh, wow, Tunchi looks hot or sexy or something. I was like, it's just, I'm mad. I put something in my head about prison and I got real angry.
And it worked. And it worked because the previous time that we tried, you were supposed to be looking like you were like you were and here we are fighting at the Capitol. The video is us at the Capitol fighting for women in prison and just and you're smiling
in the background like somebody's dead. Like, what are you doing? You said don't screw it up, do it different. And I just bust through the doors and it was much better.
First try, Tooch. First try.
Yeah.
KS White says, and for some reason I thought it was Casey before. So if I've been saying your name wrong, I'm sorry. She says, I must confess that my thinking used to be pretty black and white about crime. Now you have shed a lot of light on the criminal justice system, and I cannot be more shocked and saddened. And it's not, thank you for that comment, because that's definitely 100% why we put ourselves out there and make ourselves vulnerable by sharing our story. It's for this. It's because crime is not black and white, and people, it's a community problem. It's a community problem, and it starts way before the crime was actually committed, right? So, yeah, I I couldn't agree more, and that just tickled me. Rayanne says, beware of Tunchi on a good hair day.
Rayanne's onto something, because when I'm feeling it, I'm feeling myself. It's, girl, I become one of my multi-personalities, I promise.
So I did this video, and it was a video about, I'm just saying, somebody said, hey, did you have to pay the money back? So I think most of you probably know my crime. And if you don't, it's a theft crime. I was sentenced to 20 years. Restitution was not part of my sentencing. And there are some factors that played into that, because I was charged with a lot more money taking a lot more money than I put my hands on. So what does that mean? That means the company got to file for an insurance claim for a lot more money. And all of those factors played into that. But outside of that, so I do this video and I say, actually, I didn't. Restitution wasn't part of my sentencing. It's not part of my stipulations whatsoever. No. And don't you find that odd that they would rather sentence me to 20 years and cause even further trauma to my community, to my family? And what would it have looked like if maybe I had been put on house arrest and had to work home to pay restitution? Like, it seems like that's kind of a more healing approach. The way that it happened was it just the trauma that I caused with my crime was just magnified by being further traumatized in prison, and then my family being traumatized. Man, the hate that I got on that video, girl, and not on TikTok, because my TikTok people, I get a few little every now and then, but they rock. They rock now. This was on Instagram. So, and yeah, and my friends have been going back and forth a little bit. Maggie, I love you. I see you, Maggie. But, she's been going back. But yeah, it says, well, did you offer to repay the money you stole? You have no one to blame but your choice. No, you have no one to blame but yourself for your choices. You and you alone traumatized your family. Like, this is what from this video, just saying, hey, let's take another look at what might actually work. Because what do we know? Prisons don't work. Prisons don't reduce crime. Prisons don't heal communities. Prisons don't rehabilitate or heal the people incarcerated there. Those are the things we know. So knowing that, let's stop just eating what we've been fed so that we can keep the big business of prison open, and let's open our thoughts up to what might work. And here's a suggestion. And I didn't even, yes, of course I meant for me, but I've already done my time. Me saying this doesn't help my sentence.
Right.
Nobody agreeing with me means I all of a sudden didn't go to prison. I went to prison. But and so I'm just respond. So two things can be true at once. The truth that I committed a crime and caused trauma on my family, and the truth that the state then caused even further trauma and did nothing to heal our community. I mean, this is what, and then it was you're not going to be rehabilitated if you I give you one more year to commit another crime. If criminals are not punished for the crimes they commit, then there's no accountability. You're a horrible person and you made a series of horrible mistakes. If you broke the law once and were arrested, that's one thing, but you got away with it a time and again before you got caught, which is true. It was multiple transactions, guys, but it's the government isn't doing anyone any favors. I don't know what these folks.
Honey, I just wonder, what in the world was your upbringing for you to have this such a black and white, and like you said earlier, it's the simplest, easiest way to look at the world, right? And it makes me know that this person didn't have any mercy in their life. For whatever mistakes they've made, they've been harshly judged and punished by their family, probably. It's just, you don't know me to say that I'm a horrible person. You have no idea the story. We did a pretty cool exercise with our Texas After Violence Project folks. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? Saying if you could replace a document with a story or a song, a government document, and replace it with something artistic or whatever you'd want to symbolize that, to be a more accurate reflection, what would it be? And, we talked about our charges and what they look like on paper. But, I used a movie as an example with all of its complexity, right? With all of the the elements to everybody's role, and suddenly it's not so black and white on that piece of paper. It's not. Last before the episode before Rosie, right at the end, remember when the lady made the comment about, I think that y'all are taking this very lightly. And we're like, well, we used humor a lot of dark humor while we were locked up to survive. But we've paid our debt and we've done our time, and, we move forward. And then she popped in right as we were going off the air. And she was like, how could you say you paid for it when you've harmed someone? Lady, what do you want from me? I did the sentence that the judge gave me. I've made my penance with my creator. I've done as much amending I can with my family, with my victims. I've gone to therapy. I'm doing the work. I'm in the spaces where I can help change kids, their outcome when they have mental health problems. What is this idea that we are supposed to be mi culpa, punishing ourselves and our spirits, and never have any joy, never have anything bare other than bare minimum for the rest of our lives? And that's not what we were sentenced to, but there is this idea, and I think it's a current, a running theme through all of our haters, is this: how dare you, after the harm you've done, be happy, have a job that you enjoy, and not struggle, and not die in the heat in the prisons, and make more money than me, and be able to laugh and smile when you tell these stories about your community on the inside. How dare you, after the harm you've created? Well, at what point is enough enough? So what you're saying then, enough is never enough. So then what's the point?
That's exactly right. And that mind frame is what makes our recidivism rate so high in this country. Like that we should just keep punishing and keep punishing and keep punishing, when the fact of the matter is, especially, Tunch, your crime was at 15 when you were a baby. I mean, I have a daughter who's 1 year younger than that, and I things happen. But also, guys, mental health. I mean, these weren't, again, we're not talking about the number of crimes that were like you see in the movies, where they're sitting down and plotting and conspiring. I mean, it's mental health and drugs and abuse, and it's a snapped reaction. Most crimes are reactions, not actions, right? And that's just it. Especially violent crimes are reactions, right? And so when is enough enough? When can you be okay? And then what frustrates me so much, guys, is whether it's a violent crime or a crime like mine that was not violent, but it was a criminal activity and it caused such harm to my family. Guys, you don't have to say, you don't have to. You don't have to be ugly. You don't have to say I'm the one who traumatized my kids. Believe me, I know, and they know, and we're still working through that. I've been home 2 years and it's still every day. Like, you don't have to. You don't have to tell me. I know, but still people get that. Oh, here you are laughing and smiling. What you did to your kids. You left your kids for 10 years, Yes, and they don't want me to be curled up in a ball. They want me to be the best version of myself that I can be, so that we can heal together,
Right.
So, and then I just recently, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was tell that to the victims of the crime.
Yes.
We're talking about air conditioning in prison. And again, this comment was on my TikTok. And you guys, my TikTok family, they're going to come for you if you come on TikTok and say some ugly stuff, because they want better for our country and our state. So anyways, and immediately I got like 3 comments right under it. Well, I was a victim of a pretty horrendous crime, and I don't want anybody cooked to death in a Texas prison. Like, and so they came. But yeah, so there are victims there are victims of the crimes. And I watched, gosh, Brittany and I have a really bad habit of looking at cases of people that we were incarcerated with, because we hear their story and we know their story, and their shows, they're infamous. We were locked up on a maximum security unit. We know a lot of infamous crimes, and so we do watch their shows. And we watched one, it was on YouTube just a couple nights ago, and the co-defendant had got the death penalty and he had been executed, and the victim's son got on there and said, I don't feel any better. Like it doesn't make me feel any better. That violent act didn't do anything to heal this man, and I'm not saying I have the answer for that scenario of what would heal him. But what I'm saying is his idea of healing isn't to inflict harm and pain on someone else.
Right.
And what that execution did do is then now that gentleman's family has been traumatized by that violence. Like, I think these comments just come from a lack of knowledge, and sometimes, yes, a lack of empathy, but honestly, just like I said, it hurts to know the truth.
Yeah. It's easier to live in that simplistic black and white world. And the thing is, like the lady that made the comment about Melissa Lucio's family, you don't speak for that family and you don't speak for those victims. So did you ask the victims? So don't speak for them. The same way I don't want anyone speaking for me, because sometimes people are shocked that I may feel a certain way that they didn't think. But it's Marcy, it takes, somebody ask, about what is it? How does it feel to be so open? And there's some of our friends that have told us, hey, sometimes I can't watch y'all's videos because it triggers me and it takes me back there, and it hurt me so deeply that I can't even joke about it or talk about it. But I'm proud of y'all for being able to be so public facing about some really bad stuff and some really vulnerable things that happened to us, and things that we did wrong, right? And it takes a lot, and it can be really, I just don't think, if people can imagine how afraid they are of public speaking, right? Because most Americans fear that more than death, is public speaking. And imagine that, now you're telling the most vulnerable thing about your family and yourself with the intention to help others, right? So you face that, and it's not easy. And then you do that. And I was vulnerable about, on one of our videos about, what I had done as a kid. And then the lady says, well, how dare you? You've harmed somebody. You physically harmed somebody. So how can you say you've paid for it?
30 years ago.
30 years ago. And it's like, it's almost like what you said earlier. It's like, damn, did you just miss what I said? Did you miss the whole point of the video? Were you listening? Were you really listening? Because it's like, where are you even coming from right now? That it makes me know that you are not fully engaged in listening to what's being said.
Yes. And I even have been responding with that sometimes. I just write a physical response, a written response that says, I think you might have missed the video.
Right.
Like, I know I committed a crime. I know I did. I went to prison I was there for 10 years. Like, I know that. But what we were talking about is this, let me try to, I don't know. Goodness gracious. Thank you. Someone's just saying that it's nice to hear from the female side of the fence. And we are definitely talking all things prison, but with focus on women's prisons. And we are on the Rec Yard live every Wednesday night.
Given that perspective, because stick around to $2 bills, because you'll see where the experiences kind of collide and merge, and then you'll see where they're drastically different between men and women's facilities and experiences. So
And
Yeah.
you know, someone was asking me, and did I record it before the show?
I don't know.
I think I just did a video about homophobia in prison, and with that same, it's just so different in our experience than most men's experiences.
Wait
And
a minute. Oh, you may fixing to say it because I know we've only got 5 minutes, and I want you to say it because we did a whole episode on that, and of course we can visit it again too. But how does that relate to haters when you're a woman having a relationship inside of a Texas prison? How do the haters come for you in that situation?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, do it. Tell them.
It wasn't from, generally speaking, and Toons, you might go there because you have some stories there, but it generally did not come from incarcerated people.
Mm-hmm.
It generally came from the staff. The staff had a real issue with any kind of homosexuality or sexuality at all. I mean, with the female body, we were dressed in clothes that were made for men. It was just, yeah. And so, yeah, the staff definitely had a hatred towards that. But can we just even twist that a little more and talk about how there were staff members that hated to see us happy?
Oh my God. Yes, Marcy. Absolutely. And I think that's where the true haterade came from, that they were drinking out of when it came to our relationships. Right. And it wasn't in the name of security. It was that obsession with relationships. And it was often from female staff trying to keep us separated from whoever we were close to. And it was just an obsession because it felt like a lot of staff just really would be infuriated and hate on any success or any joy that we had. They had to fucking step on it immediately. Whether it was a great visit, a great phone call, you got published something in the paper, you got acknowledged by, I don't know, somebody important. It was like immediate to put you down, to make sure you knew your place.
Yeah, they didn't want it. And I want to say that we have good memories from incarceration because we were incarcerated with good people, but never while we were there were our spirits in a safe, peaceful place. So even if we were able to have moments of joy and laughing and actually being able to kind of submerge ourselves in whatever we were doing at that time, maybe a volleyball game or maybe a movie with the girls, you know, those kind of activities did help, but that doesn't mean that there was not, I mean, y'all, never, not one night did I go in prison okay with not being at home.
Right.
Never. Right. Not one night did I go to bed without being worried about my family at home. So for them to not even see that, working in that environment and not see that and just let us have that moment, it was like specific, that was even more harsh, right? Because it wasn't like when we're out here and we're at Pure Joy, like I got to swim with my little nephew today, my 3-month-old nephew, like that kind of joy. I'm in the free world, and there wasn't that underlying pain that there is when you're incarcerated. So Stephen says, and just from a men's point of view, he was hated on for being gay, very much so. And then he said sometimes he would get flirted with, and when he did it back, they would get mad, which is insane. And I believe it. I believe it. Such a different dynamic there. We've done a couple, we've done one episode. Both you and I have definitely done videos about the differences, but maybe we need to do another one, especially about that area. Mm-hmm. So, goodness. Yeah, Kelly. We're almost finished, but yeah. Kelly says, I'm thinking that thugs are drawn to the CO profession, not all, but lots. I think that part of it, guys, some COs are there because that's the jobs in their community, because prisons are in very rural places. But also I do believe people that have a lack of power or control over other parts of their lives are drawn to that profession because they can feed that need in that profession. And sometimes sometimes it's not so good. Guys, we just have a few seconds left, and I want to know what we should talk about next week.
Yeah, what do y'all want to talk about next week? There is a button on our podcast link that you can leave a voice memo, and we can play it on air when we're talking. So please try to use that if you would like. But what do y'all want to talk about? Do you want something light? You want something heavy? Do you have a burning question? Let us know. You can certainly always leave comments too on all of our videos and tell us, hey, I want y'all to talk about this next time. But
yeah, for sure. Honestly, especially on the Recyard YouTube channel and on the Recyard Facebook channel. If you comment there, 100, we're going to see it, right? If you comment on any of our other platforms, it's hit or miss, right? Hundreds of comments. So, but those two places, that's the place. So you can definitely leave suggestions there. We have, Rosie said she would join us. And so even if it's for like a 20-minute in the middle, so you guys can think about, and it might not be next week, but the week after, depending on her schedule, but you guys can think about what we could talk about that we want her opinion on.
Yeah, that would be great. And it can be prison related. And then I think, of course, Rosie loves to answer things just about her career too. And that would be kind of fun. Marcy, we do need to let people know that we will be coming. Let's see. Oh my goodness. We're going to be in Colorado and I don't know what time we will be back.
My flight is in the afternoon. And
okay.
your flight
in the morning. So we should be back home that Wednesday night, but we'll make sure not to leave you guys hanging. We're going to be in Colorado. Marcy, tell them what we're doing in Colorado.
Yeah, we're going to be on a panel discussion at the University of Colorado in Boulder. We are going to be talking about emergency planning and the need for that in the prison system. Emergencies like heat index, like tornadoes, hurricanes, like COVID, these kind of things. We're going to get to offer our opinion in how to address that. So that's really exciting.
Yeah. And so Marcy's going to be stuck with me and Maggie for 3 whole days. 3 whole days.
Okay, guys, we didn't come up with the topic. Tunchi and I'll think of something. And Tunch, any final thoughts?
No, I really want to get back to that hair. I need to take a look at my.
Well, we'll leave when we'll watch that video one more time. Okay. So everybody, thanks for joining us next Wednesday night live, 7 p.m. Central Time. Be there or be square on the Recyard with me and Tunchi. Oh, it didn't do it. It didn't let me play it back.
Man, you're doing so good tonight, too.
Yeah, I don't know why. And I wanted them to see your hair, but it's not going to work, too.
It'll live in memory forever. Y'all
Bye,
go back and watch it later.
We will see y'all next week. Thanks.